Suspense that will clutch you like quicksand.
Johnny, what's Donald Trump up to, the Trumpster? Oh yeah, have a look at him. Donald Trump, well, he actually wants a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine. Christ almighty! Yeah, he's the only one who's bloody coming out and actually saying it.
I know that fucking asshole!
Yeah, we don't know whether he's going to run in 2024 or not, Johnny. Who gives a shit? But he has said in a recent statement at some sort of one of his bloody rallies.
Most recently, his most bold transgression is that he said that there should be a peaceful solution in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's have a look at what that fascist Trump said now, the peace-loving fascist pig.
We must demand the immediate negotiation of a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine, or we will end up in World War III and there will be nothing left of our planet, all because stupid people didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue.
The big thing is, Johnny, old Joe came out a couple of weeks ago and he said the world is as close to Armageddon as it's ever been since 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, are you saying that the powers of the world want this bloody war to just go on indefinitely? Is that what you're saying? Who doesn't want a bloody, it would seem on the surface, who doesn't want a bloody peaceful end to any sort of war?
Britain has been one of Ukraine's closest allies during the 6-month war. It is no exaggeration to say that Boris Johnson is adored by many Ukrainians, and he came here in secret today to mark the anniversary.
Have a look at that. This is now a war for that independence. And history teaches us that when a country has a language, an identity, a pride, a love of...
Now that might seem strange, Johnny, that he wants a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine, but as I said, no one else is bloody coming out and saying it.
And get your latest thoughts on Ukraine with these threats of the use of tactical nuclear weapons and Joe Biden's response. Where are we headed to there?
Well, I think we've got escalation happening because Putin is running out of options.
Well, that's just bloody dandy. Do you hear from this bloke? Or this bloke? Or what about her?
Let me present you with an idea. Have you been coached into a state of idiocy? Because when Joe Biden says, if things don't change, we're on the brink of Armageddon, he's the president of the United States of America.
But Johnny, are you saying that no, they're just saying they just seem to want to continue the war, we're just going to go along indefinitely and we don't see any end to it.
Pulling you down into bottomless depths of suffocating horror.
But once again, we find ourselves in a position where it's left to Donald Trump to say things that other people should be saying. Donald Trump is saying there needs to be a diplomatic solution or we might find ourselves in a nuclear war. Do you not think that that's a legitimate point? Do you not think that should be utmost in your considerations? In this instance, you've got to be grateful that there's someone with a pulpit saying, I don't want a nuclear war, thanks.
Christ almighty!
That seems okay. I hope there are not American talk shows like that are now saying, Donald Trump's been at it again, that crazy cuckoo son of a bitch, asking for peace. Trump's remarks come after Joe Biden's warning over the risk of nuclear Armageddon. Let me
Now, having just said that, everyone goes, oh Jesus, that's terrible. But don't forget, old Joe's in a position of power. He's supposedly in charge of the strongest military power in the world, and he just sort of sits there like he's in some sort of observer at a football game saying, oh Jesus, we're heading to Armageddon. Well, why don't you fucking do something about it, Joe? Nuclear Armageddon. Oh, jeez. And Joe, if you're bloody watching, I don't know, you watch the channel secretly. Get off your ass and do something. Don't just say it's Armageddon gonna come down crashing around our ears. Try and fix it. Johnny, they can't just keep going on, and this could go on for fucking 20 years. How is that even possible? And it seems, Johnny, that the US just gets in a war, a continual war. They're always at war, apparently.
I know that fucking asshole. He didn't.
And it just becomes normal. And that we haven't got a war here, well then we better go over here and do something about this. And it's a proxy war with Russia. Make no doubt about it, Johnny. Yeah, well, that's true. The US is at war with Russia, only they're using the Ukrainian people as their fighters.
What do you want me to do, draw you a picture?
With things like funding the Ukraine war with Russia, please explain to people what that means and why we're sending so much money over to Ukraine.
So let's start with that. Let's start with the military-industrial complex. What is it? Who is it? It is these massive defense corporations who make all these different weapon systems, from the smallest to the most powerful nuclear weapons and missiles. When we are at war, they make a lot of money. When politicians, even if we're not at war but are threatening that we may go to war, they make a lot of money. And these decisions are not made within the context.
Jesus Christ!
Is very often what members of Congress are advocating for, even more than the military is asking for sometimes, because of those cozy relationships with the military-industrial complex, with these massive defense contractors and their lobbyists. So there's a direct correlation as the money is changing hands there.
Johnny, are you saying that there's people in the US government who actually make money out of going to war? Is that possible?
Dollars in security assistance, or $110 million a day over the last year. Is that money well spent? Can you see anything in American cultural life that you would prefer to have that money spent on? Does it surprise you that there's an easy highway for that money to travel towards the military-industrial complex, and some would say to the military more generally?
So it does seem, Johnny. It seems clear to me that we've got two alternatives. One is nuclear fucking Armageddon, and one is a peaceful resolution to the war in Ukraine. I mean, it's hardly a bloody, it's hardly bloody rocket science.
1959, the United States awaits.
Oh, by Jesus, it's going to be bloody exciting.